You're tired. Not the kind of tired sleep fixes. The kind that comes from pretending. Pretending you don't care. Pretending you're fine. Pretending the delays don't bother you. You know what's tragic? The people you're exhausting yourself for barely notice. You shrink your ambition so they feel safe. You soften your voice so they don't feel threatened. You over-explain yourself like you owe the world clarity. Why? Why are you so afraid of disappointing people who don't even respect your standards? Stop giving a fuck about being understood. Be effective. Be disciplined. Be unapologetic about your direction. Caring too much is draining you. Not caring at all isn't the goal. Caring about the right things is. You care about opinions. You care about reactions. You care about being liked. But you don't care enough about your own standards. That's the imbalance. That's the rot. You want focus? Then your priorities must be louder than your insecurity. Stop explaining your ambition. Stop apologizing for intensity. Stop asking for permission to be serious. Discipline is quiet. It doesn't argue. It executes. When it's time to work, you work. When it's time to rest, you rest. When it's time to ignore noise, you ignore it. Not because you feel powerful, because you decided to be reliable. The world doesn't reward sensitivity. It rewards consistency. You don't need to be louder. You need to be firmer. Stop giving a fuck about looking intense. Start giving a fuck about staying consistent. Start giving a fuck about finishing what you start. Because at the end of the day, when the room is quiet, there is no audience. There is only you. And whether you respected your own word. Stop giving a fuck about the noise. Give a fuck about your standard. And mean it. You're exhausted. Not in your body, in your mind. I can hear it. That pressure you pretend isn't there. The weight that builds when you keep acting like nothing's wrong. You know what's wrong. You do. You just don't like the price. You keep saying you'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow. That soft, forgiving word. Tomorrow makes you feel serious without requiring discipline. It protects your ego. You're tired of performing, tired of being digestible, tired of shrinking your edge so nobody feels uncomfortable. And still, you soften. You over-explain. You adjust your tone. You dilute your ambition. Why? Why are you afraid of disappointing people who barely notice you? Why? They are not living inside your regret. They are not tracking your wasted hours. You are. And that regret, it accumulates quietly in unfinished work, in delayed goals, in nights where you scroll instead of build. You call it balance. It's avoidance. You call it rest. it's escape. You call it self-care. It's fear. Fear of pressure. Fear of commitment. Fear that if you try fully, really fully, you might not be exceptional. Clever. That way, if you fail, you can say you never went all in. You preserve the fantasy, but you destroy the future. Enough. Enough! Stop caring so much about being understood. Start caring about being consistent, about being aligned. Stop caring about approval. Start caring about execution. Alignment is simple. Your actions match your words. That's it. Right now, they don't. And that friction is draining you. That's why you're restless. You don't lack potential. You lack repetition. Sit 5 minutes longer than you want to. Stay when the urge spikes. Stay when it feels boring. Because that urge, it peaks. And then it falls. You've never stayed long enough to see it fall. You leave at the peak and call it necessity. Discipline is not dramatic. Discipline is boring. Discipline is repetition when nobody cares. You don't need intensity. You need consistency. You don't need another speech. You need to execute. Stop giving a damn about the noise. The noise isn't building your skill. The noise isn't protecting your time. The noise is sedation. And you are done being numb. Be firm. Be steady. Be reliable. And this is the part where your mind tries to soften it again. It says, okay, that was intense, but I'll adjust gradually. Gradually is your favorite hiding place. Gradual without commitment becomes delay. Delay becomes identity. Identity becomes destiny. You don't need to feel ready. You need to feel responsible. Responsible for your time. Responsible for your output. Let me say this clearly. No one is coming to tighten your standards for you. No one is going to knock and say, it's time. It's already time. You want to stop giving a damn? Then stop reacting to everything. Stop checking every impulse. Stop making every distraction feel urgent. Urgency is often noise wearing authority, and you've been saluting it. You are not required to respond immediately. You are not required to be available constantly. You are not required to dilute yourself to keep others comfortable. You are required to respect your own direction. That's it. That's the whole weight of it. Direction without protection collapses. Protection without discipline fails. Discipline without repetition dies. So build repetition, even when it feels small, especially when it feels small. Because small actions compound quietly, ruthlessly. And stop romanticizing your exhaustion. Being overwhelmed isn't depth, it's mismanagement. You don't need more stimulation. You need fewer exits. Fewer exits mean fewer escapes. Fewer escapes mean more growth. Growth is uncomfortable, and discomfort is not a signal to retreat. It's a signal that you're stretching. Stretch further. Stay longer. Don't flinch. Because one day, quietly, you'll notice the urge isn't as loud. The phone won't feel magnetic. The boredom won't feel threatening. The silence won't feel heavy. That's when you know the shift happened. Not because you shouted, because you stayed. Stop giving a damn about appearing intense. Stop giving a damn about temporary comfort. Start giving a damn about consistency. And the next time the urge comes, don't argue, don't explain, execute. That's it. You feel the resistance again, don't you? That subtle pushback. The quiet voice trying to dilute everything you just heard. It says, that's extreme. That's too much. You don't have to be that serious. Of course it says that. It survives on moderation without commitment. You don't fail because you're incapable. You fail because you keep softening the edge. You smooth out every hard line until nothing demands strength. You don't need to become ruthless. You need to become immovable. Immovable doesn't mean loud. It means stable. It means when you say you'll do something, you don't negotiate with yourself 5 minutes later. You're addicted to negotiation. Maybe after this, just a second. It won't hurt. Every just a second compounds. Every maybe later stacks until your days feel thin and unfinished. And then you wonder why your confidence feels fake, why you hesitate before speaking, why you second guess yourself. Because confidence is built on evidence, evidence that you follow through, evidence that you don't collapse under boredom. You don't need louder motivation. You need stricter boundaries. Boundaries with yourself. The next time you sit down to work, don't ask how long, ask how focused. Depth over duration. Presence over performance. Quality over noise. And when your mind drifts, because it will, you don't panic, you return. Not with frustration, not with self-hate, with authority. Authority sounds like this: back to the task. Simple, clean, final. You've been overcomplicating growth. You've been dramatizing discipline. It's repetitive, not heroic. And repetition is what you avoid. Because repetition exposes inconsistency. It shows you the gap between who you are and who you pretend to be. Close the gap, one block at a time. Stop giving a damn about being comfortable. Comfort hasn't protected you. It has only delayed you. The real strength? It's quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It shows up tomorrow the same way it did today. And if you're serious, tomorrow won't look identical to today. Not dramatically, not loudly, but measurably. Execute. And here's the part you keep pretending you don't hear. The quiet truth that slips in after the intensity fades. You are not overwhelmed. You are undirected. Overwhelmed sounds dramatic. Undirected sounds responsible, and responsibility is what you keep dodging. You don't need more energy. You need a tighter aim. When your aim is loose, everything feels heavy. Every distraction feels tempting. Every task feels unclear. But when the target is sharp, the noise becomes irrelevant. The unnecessary falls away. You keep telling yourself you're busy. Busy isn't focused. Busy is scattered effort with movement. Focus compresses effort. It narrows attention. It removes excess. It simplifies. You hate simple. Simple removes excuses. I didn't know where to start. That's not confusion, that's avoidance. You start with the hardest small thing, the thing you keep postponing. Do it badly, do it imperfectly, do it quietly. Just do it. Stop polishing plans. Stop tweaking systems. Stop preparing to begin. Beginning is the only cure. Everything else is rehearsal. You know this, and that's why it irritates you. Irritation means the truth hit. Good. Let it hit. Don't escape it. Escape has been your default. Escape when bored. Escape when tired. Escape when challenged. No more. Stay. Stay when your focus shakes. Stay when the urge spikes. Stay when the silence feels loud. Stay long enough to stabilize. Stabilization feels boring, but boring builds strength. You don't want fireworks, you want foundation. Foundation is repetition. You build it brick by brick, block by block, day by day. And here's the part you underestimate, the compound effect. One focused hour a day becomes skill. Skill becomes leverage. Leverage becomes opportunity. But you'll never reach leverage if you keep surrendering the first hour. Guard it like it matters, because it does. You're not trying to feel powerful. You're trying to become stable. Stability wins long games, and life is a long game, not a highlight reel, not a burst of energy. Focus. Again. Not louder, not harder, just cleaner. Execute the next action. There's something else you don't admit. You don't just lose focus. You sabotage it when it starts working. The moment you feel momentum, the moment you feel progress, you get careless. You reward yourself too early. You loosen the rule. You say, I've earned this. And you undo the edge you just built. Discipline isn't fragile. Your commitment is. You treat discipline like a phase, like something intense and temporary. It's not. Discipline is maintenance. It's showing up even when things feel smooth, especially when they feel smooth. Because success, small success, makes you relax too soon. Relaxation without structure becomes drift. Drift becomes decay. And decay is quiet. You don't fall apart loudly. You soften gradually. So tighten it, not violently, intentionally. Focus is tension held correctly, not strain, controlled tension. You balance effort and recovery, work and rest, push and pause. But the push must exist. The effort must be real. The block must be protected. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. When you miss a block, you don't spiral, you don't dramatize, you return. Returning fast is strength. Returning quietly is mastery. Returning without excuse is leadership. Leadership of yourself. That's the first arena. If you can't lead your attention, you can't lead anything else. Attention is your steering wheel, and you've been driving with one hand off it, glancing at everything, reacting to every sound. Hands back on the wheel, eyes forward. Forward doesn't mean fast. It means steady, predictable in effort. The world is chaotic. Your mind doesn't have to be. You control the internal structure. Structure your day. Structure your blocks. Structure your boundaries. Boundaries are not arrogance. They are protection. Protect your mornings. Protect your sleep. Protect your deep work. Protect your energy. Stop scattering it. Stop leaking it. Stop donating it to noise. Focus is expensive. Spend it wisely. The next hour, the next block, the next action, that's where this changes. Not in a month, not in a dramatic breakthrough, in the next decision. Make it count. And now your mind wants reassurance. It wants to know this will work. It wants certainty before commitment. Certainty comes after consistency, not before. You've been waiting for confidence. Confidence is a receipt. It prints after you pay, and you haven't paid in repetition yet. You want proof? Look at any skill you've ever built. It didn't appear. It accumulated through boring days, through imperfect effort. Why do you think focus is different? Why do you treat discipline like magic? It's training. And training feels awkward at first, then normal, then automatic. That's the path. Awkward, normal, automatic. Right now, you're in awkward. Stay there. Don't rush to automatic. Don't expect comfort. Earn it. When you sit down to work tomorrow, the goal isn't greatness. The goal is obedience. Obedience to the block. Obedience to the time. Obedience to the standard. Not obedience to mood. Not obedience to distraction. not obedience to fatigue that isn't real. Fatigue that's real deserves recovery. Fatigue that's avoidance deserves resistance. Learn the difference. One restores you, the other weakens you. You're not trying to become intense. You're trying to become stable. Stability is boring to watch, powerful to live. Stop chasing drama. Stop chasing stimulation. Chase depth. Depth requires silence. Silence requires courage. Courage to face your own unfinished work. Courage to face your own inconsistency. Courage to correct it. And correction is not loud, it's methodical. One focused hour, every day you can, protected like it matters. Because it does. That hour compounds into skill, into trust, into momentum. Momentum is dangerous. It makes quitting harder. It makes excuses weak. Build it. And when doubt shows up, because it will, you don't debate it. You continue. Not louder, not faster, steadier. That's focus. Not explosive, unshakable. And now, you know what to do. There's one more layer you haven't faced. The part where you say you want more, but you're still afraid of becoming more. Becoming more means losing excuses. It means your comfort zone stops protecting you. You say you want growth. Growth isolates you. Growth demands consistency. Growth forces you to confront your own laziness without hiding. And that confrontation, that's the real discomfort. You don't fear hard work. You fear seeing what you're capable of if you stop drifting, because then there's no excuse left. If you really commit, if you really lock in, you either rise or you expose yourself. And exposing weakness feels dangerous, but hiding it is worse. You've been hiding behind distraction, behind noise, behind minor chaos, because chaos feels like movement. It's not movement. It's avoidance with speed. You scroll fast. You switch tasks fast. You talk about change fast. But depth, slow. Slow is where you break or rebuild, depending on whether you stay. Staying is the discipline you've been missing, not intensity. Intensity is easy for you. You can hype yourself. You can declare new rules. But can you enforce them when nobody's watching? When it's boring? When it's inconvenient? That's the test. That's always been the test. Private obedience. You don't need to be extraordinary. You need to be consistent long enough to become extraordinary. And consistency is ugly. It's repetitive. It's unimpressive at first, but it compounds quietly. Imagine a month of protected focus. Not perfect, just disciplined enough. The shift would scare you because your current identity depends on drift, and drift cannot survive structure.